I consume a lot of information from a lot of advocates and so forth. And one of my real good advocates was, she had a couple of kids, and she was the one that told me that 6 years ago. She goes, hey, I had my kids in the Department of Rehab at 16, and you can't usually go in there till they're 18. But if you call Department of Rehab and say, do you have this program, no one will tell you they have it.
Well, they do keep these things, secretive. So,
like the school system, like the regional center, like
right.
Yeah.
So, I think we need to have you back and get some specific questions that you maybe can help me and Shannon work up about things parents need to know, because you've walked this journey.
Well, it's all out there. In fact, it's funny because I had a meeting with a couple this last week, educated couple and so forth. We sat down, they were concerned that some money were in their daughter's name. And as we started talking, and it's funny because I feel like I went through a law school because I could spout out all sorts of stuff because I've just learned it. And then afterwards, he was kind of saying, well, he says, we're really interested in getting that money out of our name, and if ABLE accounts were available in California, we could do that now, but you didn't know enough about it. I said, well, it's not legal, it's not available yet. But we went through a few other things, and they paid me for my time, but they said, well, we could do all this stuff because all the stuff's readily available. Of course it is. Does anybody do it, or do they pull them all together and say, is this organized?
Right.
And that's the problem. There's so many things out there that are readily available, but most of us don't have the time, energy, or effort to be able to pull it together.
Of course not. We don't have time to be full
and and I've written articles about what are the 13 most important things families need to know. That's on Autism Speaks.
Well, we need to have you back, and
we could start going through a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we'll have you back to talk about that. Kelby, are you telling me I have 1 minute left for the whole show?
Are we?
We're going to call Shannon. No. Okay. No. But we have a limited amount of time here with you. Okay. Did this take a toll on your marriage?
Yes.
Okay.
The marriage.
And I want to get too personal here.
No, my mother's children. I mean, there was a lot of things that happened in that marriage, including her mom marrying my dad.
Okay.
Well, they said a couple of years after we were married.
Show.
That was my dad's wife number 3. He went to fight after that.
That's a whole other thing.
That's a pay-to-play deal.
Okay.
But yes, there was a self-blame, then there was a blame game, then there was just the anxiety. And then that's where our parenting skills came out to be completely opposite.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you 2 questions here before we wrap it up. What advice would you give to couples that have a child who's diagnosed, maybe a little younger, they're going through some rough patches? How would you encourage them to get through this journey together?
Well, the first thing I always tell them is typically it gets better. As they get older and get more, go through the maturity and so forth, it gets better unless they're a serious self-injurious, violent, then you may have a problem because now you have a child that can be 100 or 120 pound girl or a 200 pound boy or 300. I've seen some big guys. Yeah. And then you've got a whole nother set of circumstances.
Right.
And the unfortunate thing is they don't really know what they're doing. They don't know how to control it. They don't know how to deal with it. But had they been born a regular child, they might have been a linebacker in the NFL.
Right. So, of course.
It gets better.
Okay.
Number one.
So try to stick it out with each other.
No. The beauty, and I've seen some great relationships. And realistically, the special needs child, in most ways, especially if you are a spiritually strong family, should bring the family closer together.
That's what happened with our family before my husband passed away. He learned a lot, and he, said, I'm not good at this, but you take the lead, and I will follow in your footsteps. And we became stronger people of faith. And we became more committed to one another. I won't say it was easy, but it definitely brought our marriage together. And I do think that there is something to be said for that. And I know there's stats on that too. Okay, last thing, but we are going to have you back, I promise, to talk to give your 10 most important things you would say to parents to do. Yeah. We're going to have you back in the future. But if you could say anything to the dads that are listening, what would you say?
Learn to love your kid, learn to accept them. They are going to be there for you, and they will love you like you've never been loved before. That was probably the hardest thing. It took me about 10 years in my acceptance. And once I started accepting my son, there's no stopping it.